So welcome everyone. I can't see everyone today because I'm on my phone. Unfortunately, my computer's decided to not cooperate, and that's okay. And I'm not surprised because of the subject that we're going to talk about. So last week we touched on, dealing with situations that we come into. And I've been sitting on this subject for probably, a good 6 weeks, kind of going, okay, God, you're talking to me about this subject, and I need to do some more, research on it. I want to bring it in its depth of revelation and inspiration that God wants to bring. And this morning I was going to do a completely different subject. He goes, no, I want you to talk about this because we touched on it last week. And last week is, how do we deal with situations when we're in them? When there's things coming at us, there's entities coming at us, there's people coming at us. And it boils down to, I want to describe as a word, and that is gatekeepers. And I want to explain what gatekeepers are, but you as a gatekeeper and what that looks like, what that feels like in the spirit. So what is a gatekeeper? A gatekeeper is typically described as an individual or an entity that controls access to something valuable, such as information, opportunities, or spiritual realms. In a spiritual context, a gatekeeper might be a person, a spirit, or a symbolic figure responsible for admitting or denying entry to certain experiences, energies, or knowledge. Gatekeepers are often sent as protectors, ensuring that only those who are ready can gain access to deeper understanding or higher states of consciousness. So, and I'll give you what a positive and a spiritual influences of gatekeepers are. So a positive one is one that is protection. Gatekeepers can shield individuals from harmful spiritual influences, energies or entities, creating a safe space for growth and exploration. They can bring guidance. They often act as mentors, offering wisdom and direction to help seekers progress on their spiritual journey. And then there's discernment, which we talked about a lot last week. By filtering what is allowed through, gatekeepers help maintain clarity, integrity within spiritual realms, practices, and communities. Now, obviously, we are connected to God, so this Holy Spirit or the Spirit of God brings us protection, guidance, and discernment. They are the fruits of the Spirit. So we are gatekeepers. It's not something that is for the elite. It's not something for the chosen frozen. We are all gatekeepers. So let me just break down what a negative gatekeeper is. Now, this will help you understand what's coming at you guys. Negative spiritual influences of gatekeepers. They cause obstruction. Gatekeepers may become overly controlling, blocking access to knowledge or experiences. They could be leading to stagnation. They are manipulative. In some cases, gatekeepers may exploit their position for personal gain or power. Misleading seekers or restricting information unfairly. And this is a beauty. They carry exclusivity. When gatekeeping is too rigid, it can foster elitism or division within spiritual communities, discouraging inclusivity and openness. When we understand how gatekeeper entities or spiritual things work, these are the fruits of them. This is where our discerning comes in. This is where we look at what's going on, and then we can discern who is operating in this business, what's operating in a realm, the feeling, the sense that you're getting. If you're feeling, this pushback of, being excluded, look in the spirit to see what's pushing you out. This is one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn, because God will give you positions of governance. Being a gatekeeper is connected to spiritual governance. So when we feel pushed back or we feel like we're being pushed out, don't just accept it. Don't just, it is good to go, hang on, is that me? Is there something in me that's making me feel like I don't belong? Is it something, that I'm carrying from the past? Am I picking up that someone doesn't like me, and I'm reacting to it? So this is really important, guys, because when you can discern the situation, you can then respond in the right way. Now, one of the questions and examples, and I shared something that happened with me, in the last couple of weeks, as did Leanna, where, government people came into her business, and it was like frustration, and she lost it. I had a situation where I lost it, and it was it's very unusual for me to lose it. So I had to really evaluate what's going on, and going, okay, God, had to deal with myself. But most importantly, we're looking to see the lessons that the Spirit is wanting us to learn. Don't just walk away and, stuff them or get offended or, just whatever. Please press into the Spirit and learn what He's trying to show you. There are lessons in every day that we experience. And as I shared with you guys, it was the Spirit telling me, Dot, it's time for an upgrade, right? Because I'm becoming way more sensitive to next level. And it happened again last week. I shared the story of, driving beside a car that was pulling a big trailer, and all of a sudden in the Spirit, I saw that the wheel was going to blow. And the Spirit led me to pull back so that I was not beside him, because, when a tire blows, anything could happen. The van, the trailer could have tipped, all sorts of stuff. You just don't know how it's all set up. Well, and it happened. It happened within, a minute or so of me responding to the nudging of the Spirit, pulling back away from the car so there was plenty of space, and then the tire blew. And that gave him space to get in front of me and pull off the highway. Now, it happened again. Coming back from the Sunshine Coast, I'm traveling beside my daughter in her van, and the Spirit tells me the tire's going to blow. and I'm trying to ring her to let her know that she needs to pull over. Well, she didn't answer the phone, and I got in the next lane just back from her to hold back traffic. The tire blew. They were able to move across the traffic. We're again on a main highway, lots of traffic, and we pulled over to the side, and we were okay. We needed angels to come and help us because we didn't have the right gear, and we needed help, assistance. We tried for a while. It was really hot. Anyway, next, within half an hour, a guy pulls up with all the right gear, and he assisted us in getting back on the way. That is being a gatekeeper in the spirit. That I was protecting my daughter and her fiance because I saw in the spirit what was going to happen, and I governed the situation. But they did too, because they're learning how to do this as well. So this is being a gatekeeper. So I want to share another situation that I said that I would share today, about a situation where I was actually looking after about 20 homeless kids, right? I was housing them in my home, and we're in an area that was very strongly governed by certain principalities and powers, and it creates an environment of lots of broken homes, wayward kids that come from, pretty sad home life situations and very lost. And these kids become prime pickings for different drug cartels, people that will use them. And I'm trying to protect these kids. Now, a situation occurred where the kids got involved with this guy, and I'm watching what's going on, and he's coming across as a family man, and he wants to help the kids, and I'm just watching all of this, and I'm going, yeah, I don't think so. And I had to, because everyone has free will, so I'm watching the what's happening in the transactions with this guy and all this sort of stuff, and he's coming onto the property, and I was just like, yeah, something's really very wrong here. Anyway, he ended up in our backyard, and I noticed it from upstairs, and I quickly came downstairs and kind of like, what's going on here? And he was threatening my son. And he started, going, oh, Jason owes me all this money, and was carrying on, and, had a guy with him that was, the heavy. And I was like, okay, so I'm in the spirit as well as having a conversation with this guy. I'm now governing this situation. And I've said to this guy, going, but hang on a minute, I had a conversation with you about all of this, and you said that there was nothing going on, and now you're telling me that my son owes you $3,000. And he was trying to hustle my son for money as he was hustling the other kids. So I'm having this conversation with him. Now I'm looking in the spirit to see how I can calm the situation and also protect what's going on, protect us. And then I turn to the guy that's with him, and I go, well, who are you? And he's just looking at me going, I'm just here to keep the peace. I said, well, you don't look like you're here to keep the peace. And I challenged this guy on being a bully. And he because I challenged him, he was, got a bit uncomfortable. And at the same time, I'm praying in the spirit, going, God, give me wisdom here, because I've never dealt with this sort of stuff before. This was a new one for me, and it was really right in our face. So I'm praying in the spirit, going, God, what am I to do here? And then God gave me a strategy. Now, in that strategy, I said to him, I said, well, I tell you what, I said, you give me an invoice of what you believe my son owes you. And this guy just looked at me and went, what? He says, oh, I don't deal with invoices. I said, yeah, but I do. I said, you give me an invoice of what you believe my son owes you and for what, and then we'll have a look at it. Now, the guy went, oh, okay, left the property, and then I sat down with everyone that was involved and said, okay, what's going on here? And was able to get the full picture and the truth behind it. So then God gave me a way to counteract where this guy was coming from. So when he came again, I was ready for it. Now, this is how God can help you govern a space. This is how he can show you how to have spiritual strategies and wisdom. If I had to come from my own wisdom and my own reaction, it would not have ended the way that it did. And we won the victory in this situation because I was able to counteract, not only in the spirit, but in the natural, this guy's lies and what he was trying to exploit these kids. So next time he came around, I was ready for him. Now, do we get caught unawares? Absolutely. But how do we handle it? Don't ever react. Step back. Go into God. If it's new for you, just go in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind. Just go, God, help me here. God hears you even if you're not using your mouth. Everything does not have to be physically spoken out. We can internalize our need for help, and God will hear you. So that situation was averted. God gave me wisdom and taught me a lesson. I learned a lot from that. This is part of the journey for us. So demonic gatekeepers are often depicted in spiritual as mythological, which is really interesting. Entities that guard entrances to realms of darkness and chaos. And again, their main function is to restrict access, prevent escape, and challenge those who attempt to move towards between worlds and spiritual states. These gatekeepers use deception, intimidation, and supernatural power to protect their domain and maintain control over who enters or leaves. Demonic gatekeepers or entities always use intimidation, fear, confusion, and chaos. That is their fruit. Godly gatekeepers, by contract, are guardians of divine realms, sacred spaces, or spiritual thresholds. Their role is to ensure that only those who are prepared to access higher realms of spiritual understanding or blessing, they offer guidance, wisdom, acting as protectors and facilitators for seekers on the path to spiritual awakening, spiritual encounters, and they are there to encourage you. They are always encouraging, guys. They never bring condemnation. They never bring, like you're not good enough or you're not worthy enough. That's not the fruits of the Spirit of those that are gatekeepers for God. That's why when we look at people, let look at their fruit to see what kind of person they are. Do they bring love, wisdom, encouragement? Are they uplifting? Do they bring breakthrough into your life? Do they bring, help foster you, bring change? Or are they causing fear and intimidation? They make you feel like you're not good enough, that you'll never make it. Do they use words where they tell you that, you don't have enough faith, or, you haven't prayed enough? These are not godly gatekeepers. And it's all linked with your discernment that we talked about last week. It's fundamental that you enable your discernment, start to use it more, develop it in your life. Ask those questions. It's like a muscle. If you don't use your right arm for 12 months, the muscles in your right arm will become weak and undeveloped. We need to grow our discernment. We need to use it, but not out of judgment or offense or condemnation. It is growing that awareness. It is, again, opening our heart for God to teach us, to grow us in our giftings. And the gift and the fruit of the Spirit is discernment. Remember the scripture I said, God desires earnestly that we all prophesy. Discernment comes with the ability to foresee, to prophesy, to predict. So these are the things that we need to develop in our life. Now, let's bring this to a personal aspect. Each and every one of you is a gatekeeper for your own life. You're the one that decides what comes in and what goes out. And this is where we become gatekeepers for ourselves. This is where we create that connection with understanding spiritual governance. Because as I explained, gatekeepers are standing at the door. They're governing a position. Godly governance is also a position. We then stand at the gate of our own life, our own heart, our own thoughts, our own actions. And we then decide which way we are going to be. Are we gatekeepers for goodness, for love, for kindness, for godly aspects, or we gatekeepers for destruction and chaos and confusion? These are the fruits. These are the attributes that we look at that will help you discern what a person's agenda are, who they are really working for, so to speak. And these are really important in these days. If you ever feel that you are being manipulated by somebody, just pull back, assess the situation. God does not manipulate. God does not punish. God does not condemn. Do we miss the mark sometimes? Yes, we do. but that's okay. Pick yourself up, dust it off. If you need to ask for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. And then keep moving forward. Don't take yourself out. In other words, don't be the gatekeeper that shuts the door, that nothing can come in or out. Leave the heart, the door of your heart open to what God is wanting to do or say. Now, if you want another analogy, which is what I thought of while I was preparing this morning, was your computer. Your password is your gatekeeper. And not only that, the Spirit of God is your antivirus protection. The discernment is your antivirus protection. And when you push into your search button and we go to Google, let's put in our search button, going for God, going for the things of the Spirit, asking God into the situation, asking God for wisdom. And interesting enough, even your Wi-Fi link, you know, how many bars have you got, is determined by the openness of your heart and the communication that you have with God. Only we can break that link by turning away from God. He never forces himself onto us. So that, you know, the amount of bars that you have in communication, as in the Wi-Fi, is determined by you. If you don't connect to God in every situation, then he's not going to just come in unless you ask him. We need to have that communication with him. And prayer or spiritual light language is the best communication. Now, before that situation, both those situations that I shared with the wheel, I drive. When I drive, I'm always in prayer. I'm always talking to God. I'm praying in tongues. They're my favorite times. I like going for long drives because I have these great times with God when I'm by myself. It's uninterrupted, and I'm in this moving momentum, which kind of duplicates what it feels like for me in the spirit when I'm driving a car. And I'm in prayer, and I'm in that communication with God, and I get a lot of wisdom. I get a lot of insight. And thankfully, he gave me insight both times about the tires. But that's not the first time. I get a lot of protection when I'm on the road because I'm in prayer. Every situation you're in, you are in protection. God will always warn you. He will always tell you. He's always there to speak. He's never silent. It's up to us to open our ears and hearts to hear and to receive. So that's just a brief interview on gatekeepers. So I'm going to allow time for questions. So if anyone has some questions, please. And Jenny, you'll have to help me with that because I can't see being on my phone, darling. Any questions, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, so can I ask a question, Dottie, please? In the early days, this is many years ago, I don't know even when, I collected crystal stones, etc. So I started at age 4. I was interested in everything nature was giving me. And one day I got in sleep And then I got a dream, and in this dream was told, you are the guardian of the crystals. So I had no clue what that meant. So I thought I have to write a book if I'm big enough to do that, right? If I'm grown up. So I always kept this in my memory. I told Hans about it, and I said, what does that mean, right? The guardian of the crystal, the guardian of the crystal. And then I studied a bit of computer stuff, and there came out that there are liquid crystals, right? So then one day I got this insight that we are all liquid crystals. So then I got, oh, perhaps it has something to do with that. So I gave it a thought, and I thought perhaps I have to guardian my own crystal inside of me. So I'm still wondering if I got this. Yeah, this was a very strange and weird, perhaps, situation. And I thought perhaps somebody has a thought about it or has the same experience or so. I never forgot it, and I always think about it, but it's really something that comes back all the time. So I think I had to do something with it, but I have no clue what to do. So perhaps you can enlighten
Our,
me.
our bodies do have crystals in them. And I think the interpretation that you got the second time is that you are the guardian of yourself. We're the gatekeepers of ourselves, which is guardians. And we are guardians of the world as well. We are guardians of creation. That's part of having dominion. So, you know, it's an interesting, I feel to share a story with you about, I've you guys know I'm not big into crystals and all that sort of thing, but I acknowledge their beauty, and I acknowledge, that God created them. And I went to a place here on near Byron Bay called Crystal Castle. And some friends wanted to go, and I was like, okay, yep, let's go and have a look. Because it's not something where, I've got to go and see the crystals and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I was walking around, and I was like enjoying the gardens that they'd made. And some of the crystals were like, 2 stories high that they had gotten from Brazil. And, they're very majestic. They're very beautiful, and so are the colors. And I walked up to this particular crystal, and the crystal started to share with me. I had an encounter with this crystal. I was completely blown away by it, because I'm not looking to have encounters with crystals, okay? And it started to talk to me about that the crystals hold the history of the world within it. And the crystal started to converse with me, going that the Spirit of God was going to teach me the history of the world. And I was really blown away by that, because that is not what I expected. It wasn't that the crystal was going to teach me, but God was using the crystal to show me another realm. And because our source is God and God only. But can God talk through things? Absolutely. So that was my encounter with this huge crystal. But you are the crystal. We are all the crystals. We have crystals within us. In fact, there is crystals in your head that sometimes they, I think they're chiropractors. It might be another practice, but they will actually adjust your neck to release these crystals in your brain to function properly. I know some people have to hang their heads upside down to loosen them. So there's a lot to there. We are crystals.
So exactly, this is what I felt, right? I have to, if I hang upside down, I feel the best. So it is really weird, but actually it is. And what you tell makes sense, because the crystals talk to me now and then too.
Yeah.
And they told me the same, like we contain this history, and I feel very comfortable if I have something in my hand, right, which is really warming up, etc. So it is a bit weird to talk about it, but actually I was so curious and nobody can tell me because I was doing this for so long, right? From my 40th on, and nobody has a kind of knowledge of it. So I had to find out everything myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very beautiful. Also, sometimes concerning if I see people who are wearing stuff that I think, uh-oh, this is actually not helping you out. But how can I tell? So I don't, and just keep my mouth shut because they think it's lovely. So yeah, keep it that way. But I cannot convince them of something that they don't want or don't feel.
Okay. Can I just say something there, Lisa? Because I understand what you're saying completely. And I have lots of friends that love their crystals and their house is filled with crystals. And I get it. But at the same time, I challenge them very lovingly about, does the crystal hold the power or does the creator of the crystal? Because what New Age has done is it has given crystals and items and symbolisms a value or a power that it actually doesn't contain. It's their belief in it that gives it the power. God is the ultimate power. He is the one true source. He's the only power. But I understand people being on a journey of needing that crystal to receive from God. But our job now, this is something God's been talking to me about, is that we need to empower people to realize that they have the very power of God within them. The crystals are lovely, but the crystals aren't going to bring the answers that they're looking for. Right? It's the same as, oh, I've got to have a crystal to deject negative energy. Well, it's their belief in it, but that's not where the power comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
also the beauty of it, right? The beauty of the crystals that are the symmetric, the geometric, the form, the color, the light what's falling in. And I thought, wow, this is so huge that God gave this all. And it is so dark where the places where they are, right? So I thought this is actually also weird that is inside a mountain because nobody sees it there. The beauty is always kept inside. So yeah, like a kiwi fruit, right? If you see it, it is like a potato, and then you open it up and then you say, whoa. And I think human beings are the same. So are you also talking about the living crystals inside yourself? Or the living stones, what they call, or is this something different? Have
no,
you heard?
there's crystals within inside of our brain. So, which I think I haven't studied it, but it's more to do with balance and things like that. So they're important. I mean, really, everything that's on the earth is within us as
Yes,
well.
yes,
We're part of the earth.
yeah,
But the most important thing is I find that people are now worshipping the earth, but we should be worshipping the creator.
yeah. I understand. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's the same as the crystals. Don't worship crystals because that's what a lot of people are doing. Worship the creator who
yeah,
created the crystal for us
yeah,
to enjoy. So, but the power comes from God. It doesn't come from the crystal.
yeah.
So that's really important too.
Is it not, can I ask something? Is it also that a kind of stone can be a portal to the divine? Because if you see the beauty in it, then you can recognize the power of God to create that, right? If you have no eye for the beauty, then you will not recognize God in it, or?
Well, they can be. Look, I look at flowers. I'm blown
Yes.
away, flowers. But the thing that blows me away even more is when I go to an aquarium and I see all these fishes and the colors and the majesty in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's some fish and I look at it and I go, gee, God, what were you thinking when you made that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have the same feeling also with flowers and fish. They're beautiful. Yeah, really. Oh, thank you for the explanation. Yeah,
Yep, no
great.
worries. All right. Anybody else have a question? I can't see, so please speak up, please.
I've got one.
Hello.
Hey, thanks, Dottie, and thanks for all the education and the translation from the higher realms down to our understandings. Is there any way to um, I know you said there's keys to figure out the separation between a demonic and a godly gatekeeper. When you're faced with a situation that you may not know this person at all, and the situation pops up in front of you like you did, or maybe you have the choice to bring a situation to someone, and maybe there's a select people of your choices that you can bring your situation to someone, physically to another human. Is there any way to tell beforehand if that person's more leaning on a demonic gatekeeper for the situation or more on the godly gatekeeper? And when you're in those situations, are there any ways to steer it, to transmute them from a demonic gatekeeper to an actual, godly watchers to allow the watchers to, I wouldn't say possess, but go through them and solve the situation that you're in, through a demonic gatekeeper instead of or through a godly gatekeeper instead of a demonic keeper. So mainly, being able to judge someone's gatekeeper current situation, and if you're able to actually change people's gatekeepers positions, whether demonic or godly, can you do that instantly, or is that more of a longer process to be able to behaviorally kind of get the demonic gatekeepernism out of them?
Okay, so the number one factor is we all have free will, right? So when you come up to someone that's operating in a negative or a demonic aspect, you need to discern, is this an entity? Is it part of who they are because of traumas and you know circumstances in their life that have made them the way that they are? So this is where the discernment is really important, and ask God for eyes to see, right? Always be asking those questions. So, and some of us hear better than we see, some of us see better than we hear. So it's working with what comes naturally for you. Some people feel, so they'll get, oh, I don't feel comfortable, like they get the goosebumps where they're going, something's not right here. So you lean into that, so you get the wisdom answer for what's actually going on. Okay. Now, I've stepped into situations where I've observed, wow, this is a full on demonic pack happening here. Like, there's not just one, gatekeeper. I'm dealing with 20 of them. So you're going, okay, God, what's the wisdom here? Am I to do something, or am I to retreat? Because every battle is God's battle. It's not my battle. I'm just partnering with him to bring the victory that he already has. Does that make sense? So the governance that we carry and being the gatekeeper is releasing the presence and the power of God into that situation. So am I speaking something verbally, or am I doing things in the spirit? And when we do things in the spirit, I feel we get a much better response, because it's God that's doing the transformation. It's the Spirit of God that's doing the enlightening. It's opening up their hearts, because they're realizing themselves, free will, that, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not coming from a good place. I'm coming from a negative energy, or I'm being, quite judgmental or critical or angry. So, and sometimes you can go, some people come really angry, you go like, dude, like, sorry, what's happening for you right now? Why do you feel so angry? If you can entice in a conversation where you they feel safe with you. That's a number one factor, because when we come from love, we always create a space of being safe. People will just tell you things, and often their confession brings the transformation, because conversation can become a confession without it being a confession, as in, you know, I had to go to church and confess. So where it's organic and God is moving, and this is happening all the time. If you're open to God doing that, opening to having conversations with strangers, I find I often get people that walk up to me and they're just starting to unload, and I'm like, I don't even know you, but they feel safe. And I bring encouragement to them. I don't hit them over the head with God, but I do bring encouragement, and I let them know that God loves them, that they're not alone. Okay, so this is where discerning. Are you dealing with a principality? Are you dealing with, something that has a foothold, that has a legal right? And you've got to find the legal right to bring healing to that or breakthrough in that. And there are some things that I don't do on my own. I do it with a group of people that are spiritually discerning as well. And then we bring breakthrough into towns, or, you know, into over houses or situations, over people. But it's, again, the most important key is working with God in that situation. The more you work in it, the stronger that weapon becomes in your life. Okay, but we take baby steps to learn. It's depending how God, you know, works with you. I mean, I've been doing this for over 40 years, and God threw me in the deep end at a very young age, and I was dealing with really heavy entities and all that sort of stuff. So I had a quick learn run, and I was dealing with people that were coming out of witch covens and all that sort of thing. And, you know, there was sometimes it was like, oh, shouldn't have done it that way. But I learned a lot very, very quickly. And that was just what God had put on my life. But I don't put that expectation on other people, because we're all different and we're all learning. If you have strong discernment, then you can go for it, because God's already gifted you with the ability to see and hear and feel what's going on. So within you, you can say, I capsulate this entity right now. I shut it down. I tell it to be quiet. And then you can start talking to the person. If you're trying to talk to the entity, you won't get to the person. But we have authority to shut the entity down. Okay, so, and that's where, again, you take authority. You take control, that's governance in that situation, so that you can bring life and truth to that person. God is always about bringing, saving people or reaching people's hearts to have an encounter and relationship with Him. If there are people out there that do this sort of thing, but their whole agenda is to get numbers in their churches, that's not how God works. Or look at what I did. If there's ego or agenda on the person that's strutting around trying to bind things and say, yeah, I saved that person. Oh, I cast out 100 demons. I've seen this so many times. And I tell you, the pushback that person ends up going through, I just look at them and go, well, sorry, you were not did not use wisdom in what you are walking in. So that's why I always stay close to God and always keep asking God the questions. People that have been journeying with me for the last 12 months, they know I say, ask question after question after question. God does not mind answering you, even if it's 3 or 4 times, particularly while you're learning. Once you're learning, you start to develop, mature spiritually, then you don't need to ask the questions because you're already in sync with God and you know how he's going to move or how to hear him. The number one trick here, or rule, can I say, is never assume a formula. Don't ever go, well, this is how it worked last time, so this is how I'm going to do it this time. This is where you will get into trouble and you will get taken out by the enemy. Always ask God the questions so you stay in step with him and you don't run ahead of him. Okay, so sometimes when I'm doing deliverance with God and I'm seeing things, I let God know that I've heard what he's said and I'm seeing what he's showing me, but I'm still just taking my time to get to where he wants me to go. When you grow maturity, you can get a big download. Then you have to pull back and go, God, okay, how do you want me to step through this? Because I can already be at the end result, but I still have to start at the beginning. And I want to take that person gently through the process. I've seen many people that get, deliverance or set free from things where they actually need healing from the deliverance because it was too traumatic for them. And I personally do not condone, manifestations that are dramatic or a show, because that is just giving glory to the enemy, to the entities. I always tell them they have to be quiet and they have to come out when I say so, and they'll come out peacefully. I do not let them speak. I don't need to speak to them. I do not need to name them or know their name. I'm just playing their game when you get into that. I have full authority in God, and it has to obey and it has to bow. So it will come out when I tell it to. Now, am I answering your question, Dale? Because I've kind of gone down a big deliverance route here.
No, absolutely. I mean, the main thing is, honing in on that discernment skill, exercising and filling out not just one formulated sense that you can connect with, but all of the ranges of how spirit can kind of communicate with us to do that. One big thing I pulled out was the actions you're actually taking. I mean, how you're making sure that you say that you're encapsulating the demon or the entity, making sure that you actually say these things. Are these things you're actually verbalizing out loud, or are these more the internal things that you're, having that discussion with spirit internally?
So just say I met you for the first time, which I actually am, and I can see some stuff on your life, and I want to reach you in the spirit. I can capsulate or just render any demonic entities or influence on a person's life so that I can reach the truth of that person, the blueprint that God created that person. That's why we look at people's hearts, not their actions. Okay, so I can do that in the spirit. Now, if you came to me and said, look, I need some deliverance, then I would be verbalizing what I am doing. And I will then explain, okay, I'm going to deal with some entities now. I just want you to sit and just receive God's peace and love while I deal with the influences in and on your life. and then I will speak and name what's going on. But I will also reveal verbally the entry point that they have come to influence your life. Because if you don't deal with the entry point, in other words, the legal right that it has to stay there, it won't leave. It will go for a day, but it'll come back because it has a lawful attachment. So you need to get to the root issue. I'm all about dealing with root issues that once people get set free, they are free indeed. I'm not into band-aids. I'm not into superficial stuff. It's like we're getting to the root issue. And some people don't like to hear the root issue because they have to take ownership of it. They have to take responsibility of the part that they played in it. So this is where we can break those entities and they don't have a foothold anymore. And that's what brings freedom. That's what sets people free. Everything else is not going to cut. It'll only be for so long and it'll come back again, and it comes back worse. So there's a lot of wisdom and, can I say, caution when we are dealing with deliverances, when we're dealing with, people. If we're dealing with principalities and, atmospheric entities that are trying to find somewhere to land, that's a different story. You can just go, nah, you don't have place here. You can get out now. And can I say, guys, I've walked into houses where there's been entities and I've told it can't stay there anymore. And I know that it has no legal ground. I've had them open the door, walk out and slam the door behind them because they're annoyed with me. So that they're real. They're absolutely real. We've got to cross over it being fantasy or, unrealistic or, not a reality. The spirit realm is more real than the natural realm. And this is where we're crossing over, guys. This is where I talk about having authority in the spirit realm so you can change the things in the natural realm. You can't change the natural realm from the natural realm. It's not possible. Hope that answers your question, Dal.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it and thank you. I think I got what I needed to hear. Appreciate it.
All right. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me. Always happy to help anyone.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Because I think we're running out of time. Yes, it's 10 o'clock. Sorry, I have to go right on time today because I've got a interview to do for the next 3 hours with Rachel Vaughan, who is awesome. And Jenny, you still there?
I am. And we're just about getting her new website all set up. So in about a week, you'll have a full community to access with Dottie. And
beautiful. Thank you, Jenny.
Dottie's website, not Vaughn's, not Rachel Vaughn's. Yeah. Dottie's, yes.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the videos ready too, the new videos. So
beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. And I've got something even more exciting for you to share. I hope you all got something out of that. And love you lots and see you soon.
Thank you, Dottie. Love you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dottie. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.